Everyone always says VNDs are great for convenience, but single strength NDs are just better. I'm on board with that mentality, but I've never actually done the testing myself. In this video, let's go over the speed and convenience of the NiSi True Color VND versus the precision and accuracy of single strength NDs. In this case, we're using the NiSi full spectrum 4x5 filters in a matte box. Stick around to the end of the video because there's more of a difference between these two filters than just color cast or vignetting or the price difference between these two filters. But for now, let's jump into the tests. Editor Keith here. I realize if you don't know how to read the vectorscope here, these tests are complete gibberish. So very quickly, there are multiple lines. There are a few different colors around here, and they all point to these little boxes. So magenta, blue, cyan, green, yellow, and red. The closer that these are pointing to their boxes, the more accurate the color. Something to keep in mind while you're checking out these tests. They're not super engaging, but they are really helpful. This is the DZO Film Arles 40mm. We're at T4. And here are the color chips. Now we have 0.6 going in. This is 0.6. This is the 0.9, this is the 1.2, this is a 1.5. I'm very interested to compare the color chip charts of this ND5 to the VND5 of the NiSi True Color. In all of my other VNDs, this is where the color cast and the cross polarization starts to get introduced. NiSi True Color VND, we're on the Arles at T4, we are at 1, ND1 right now. Now we're at ND2, now we're at ND3, now we're at ND4, and finally ND5. Using the NiSi VND, I really like how there's hard stops on the minimum and maximum strength of ND. I also like this little pin here. It's easier than like moving the front of the lens like this if you don't have one of these pins. I'm very glad that in my testing, I haven't been able to find any cross polarization in this True Color VND, even at 4 or 5. After shooting a few tests, I'm very surprised how the NiSi True VND actually held up. From 1 to 3, it was very good. It skewed a little warm at 4 and a little warm and magenta at 5. Overall, that is pretty impressive for a VND. As for the NiSi full spectrum ND filters, these handled the color cast exceptionally well. These looked good even next to the no filter baseline test. For 2 to 4 stops, it handled the color reproduction very well. The only issue I had was with the 5-stop filter. It had a slightly cooler look to it. This is a very simple color correction to make from the image when you're color grading, but to have a consistent level throughout the entire set, even if it's a little bit cooler on the 5-stop, is still pretty impressive. Before we get into my thoughts on the gray card tests, I want to take a second to thank today's video sponsor, Motion Array. Motion Array saves you tons of time with editing assets, but today I want to focus on their new LUTs section. They have a wide selection of different packs to choose from to help you color grade your image. They're broken into different LUT packs with different looks, so once you find a pack you like, you can test out a few different looks until you find the exact one you're looking for. They also have a different range of LUTs available. Some of their LUT packs, like Movie Looks, gives your footage a more subtle and filmic look, while their more stylized packs really push your footage to the limit. Some of my favorites are the Bleached Pack, Film Stories, and the Cinematic LUTs. But there are a ton of different ones to choose from, so you'll be able to find a look that fits your project. Motion Array still has their wide selection of video templates, motion graphics, footage, music, and sound effects as well. They also have graphics, photos, and their AI voiceover feature. Motion Array also has an automated tool to help you automatically clear copyright issues to remove the headache of copyright claims. To try out Motion Array, you can sign up for a free account to access a small amount of free assets, or if you have a yearly plan, you can access the entire library to use in your personal and commercial projects. If you use the link in my description, you'll get $50 off when you subscribe today. Thank you, Motion Array, for sponsoring this video. I like to do the color chart tests, but to visualize filters, how they shift from white or gray, I really like to shoot gray cards to help illustrate this. Again, this illustrates how the full spectrum ND filters from 2 to 4 were fantastic, while the 5 was slightly cooler. For the True Color VND, this was fantastic from 1 to 3. 4 was a little warm, and 5 was a little warm and shifted a little magenta. Both the color chips and the gray charts were showing this same information, but it's easier to read the vectorscope with the color chip chart and see the color shift with your eyes with the gray card. At least that's how it helps me. For vignetting, the NiSi VND had slight vignetting around 4 and 5, but that's being pretty picky. I have the 86mm version here for my aurals. The 4x5 filters obviously didn't have any vignetting. When it comes to price, circular VNDs kind of range depending on what filter size you need. I will leave a bunch of different filters in the description down below. For the 4x5 filters, these NiSi Full Spectrum NDs are $315 a piece. I got these filters with the matte box with multiple stages, so I can actually stack these filters if I need to go darker or include some diffusion. I plan on building this kit out a little more in the future, but for now, these are the ones I have. Another reason I'm looking into these and a matte box is if I'm using this on a shoot, I can now include this in my rental rate. So it's paying for itself, and eventually it will be paying me money whenever I go out and use it. Another huge benefit of these filters is that these NiSi Full Spectrum ND filters are full spectrum. They will eliminate any IR pollution that normal ND filters would not be able to filter out. I don't have much experience with cameras that suffer from IR pollution, but I was thinking about buying a Pixis or a Komodo X. Then I thought about just saving up for a Burano. This is where having a full set of full spectrum ND filters is going to be a necessity instead of a nice to have. These are really nice to have full spectrum ND filters. This is kind of an edge case. Not all cameras are going to need this, but if you do, cinema ND filters that are full spectrum are what you have to use. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if there's any full spectrum VNDs out there. If you need to filter out that IR pollution, you're going to have to use the 4x5 filters or 4x4 or 6x6. I just happen to be using the 4x5s. Another benefit of using a matte box is that you can use mattes in the front of your matte box. These help cut down light that is entering the front of your lens. Right now I have a spotlight pretty much blasting light down the barrel of the lens. This is a problem I ran into on a recent shoot. We had people walking towards the camera that were cut out of a silhouette with a hard spotlight, and we didn't want the contrast to be lifted because this is the screen where they were gonna have like a freeze frame where they're going to hold for a while, and motion graphics were going to pop up. So we didn't want to have like a lifted lens flare scene. We wanted to have something that was like the background was just a clean shadow all around them. The problem was we were using a spotlight that was pretty much doing what we're doing right here, blasting light down the lens. So a hard matte saved me here. I'm using the aurals wide open, and this lens is great, but whenever you get light down the barrel of the lens, it really lifts the contrast wide open, and we didn't want that. So using a hard matte actually will cut down a lot of light that is hitting our camera sensor. So this is a lot better than this for the look we were going for. A hard matte is a really good way to control how much light is hitting your camera. I just got back from that shoot, and this was a problem I ran into, so I thought it was pretty good timing, but now I have to put all this stuff away. The benefits of using circular filters for me is speed, size, and convenience. If you want to invest in high quality filters, you'll be able to use them for years just as you would these other filters. You might not be able to get the rental rate, but if you're a one-man band, the speed and convenience are almost too difficult to overlook. The NiSi not having any cross polarization is a big deal for me. My first VND was a Tiffin VND that didn't have hard stops, and you could just spin and spin and spin. And if I was going quickly, I would overcorrect. I would go like from 5 to like 6 or 7, and it wouldn't stop me. And I would have like cross polarization that you can't edit out. So I love having hard stops on a VND. ND filters are one of those things that you have to buy. And if you buy the right ones the first time, you can use them for years or your entire career. So getting quality ones that fits how you work is important. I have another video coming up where I'm going to go over different diffusion filters, so be sure to check back for that video in the future. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and thank you for sticking around to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.